Hi and welcome into another video on this channel. Today we'll be going even deeper into AWS ecosystem and talk about KMS, which is Key Management Service. So we will hop into AWS console, create ourselves a KMS key, and then using a AWS CLI, we will try to encrypt and decrypt some file using this key. So let's go and work on that. All right, so we are back into our Safari browser and we are already logged into our AWS account. And let's navigate to KMS, so Key Management Service. So here it is a service that we can create encryption keys and also use those keys to, let's say, then encrypt our RDS databases or S3 buckets and so on at rest. So let's go and create ourselves a key. So we will create a symmetric one. So it is described a little bit here that it is a single key which is being used for encrypting and decrypting. The asymmetric one is a public and private key, so what we are seeing in HTTPS, SSH connections, and so on and so on. So let's do asymmetric. Let's use it as encrypt and decrypt. In advanced option, we have some key material and regionality, but we will leave it as default for today. So let's click next. Alias. So alias is a meaningful name for your key. So you can get here something a little more descriptive than just pointing to your key ID, which is a UUID. So let's call it here maybe briefly. And here you can also type description and optionally tags. So here we have key administrators. So either it's my user or the AWS service role and so on and so on. So key deletion, allow key administrator to delete this key. It's enabled by default. And here the permissions for the usage. So let's maybe add, we can also specify another AWS account, but let's click next. And here we will just review it. So let's finish that. And we have our symmetric key. So this is something I mentioned, that the key ID is a UUID. So to not point to this key in this very long and non-descriptive ID, we can go with the alias. And here we can see some stuff that we have, let's say, key administrators, some key users, if we would like to add some cross-account policies. As mentioned, we can also enable a key rotation that will rotate this key. Here we can also give even more aliases if we would like to do so. And here we also have a deletion and disable. So to delete the key, it first needs to be disabled. And then to schedule a key deletion, this is called schedule because it actually doesn't delete it right away. It is being scheduled for deletion because if there would something be like, okay, you would accidentally like to delete a key that you have some files encrypted, maybe RDS instance or EBS volume or some S3 files, then actually you can, let's say, still recover a key from deletion for a particular time. Okay, so that makes for the very brief introduction to the KMS. And now let's launch a Cloud Shell for ourselves. It will be just a normal console with access to AWS CLI. So we can see here that if I will type AWS -- version, I get AWS CLI. And now let's try to create some file and then decrypt it. So right now we'll do a simple echo and create a file for ourselves which we want to encrypt. So let's say that echo, this is decrypted secret, and let's give it to plain text txt. So now we have a plain text txt. And we will right now use an AWS CLI specifically a KMS module and encrypt function to encrypt this file. So I already prepared the code for that, and we will get through it. So we are calling AWS KMS Encrypt as mentioned. We are passing the key ID of alias/briefly. We are doing taking input as a plain text file binary from this plain text txt that we created, and we want to output is a text and do a ciphertext blob on it and put it to encrypted txt. So let's paste it and let's run it. And if we will cut encrypted txt, we can see that we have an encrypted form and our plain text txt is still here. So now to decrypt it, we will revert this operation using AWS KMS Decrypt. So I will take it and paste it here and we can discuss it. So we are calling AWS KMS Decrypt. We are passing a ciphertext blob of file binary. We are taking this encrypted txt but firstly decoded from base 64, and we want to output a plain text and decode it from base 64 and decrypt and throw it into decrypted txt. So I will paste that and the function run, and let's see our decrypted here txt, and yeah, it's back. So we have encrypted txt, we have decrypted txt, and we have our source. So this is the very basic thing about the AWS KMS. And as you can see also with this decrypt operation, let's get back to it for a moment. You can see that I didn't pass the key here. So actually the key was being taken by the KMS itself. So it knew that it was being encrypted with a specified key. It found it in KMS and decrypted the file for us behind the scenes. So that will be all for today. Hope you learned something new, and of course, see ya in another videos.